Hey world, this is Jamie, host of the Jamie and Genty Show, broadcasting live each week on Tuesday at 12 p.m. from Fishbowl Studios. Log on to hear sports talk from basketball to football and view your feedback on the biggest sports news you want to talk about from around the world. So be sure to log on each week Tuesdays at 12 p.m. to catch the Jamie and Genty Show. Hope to see you soon
on Fishbowl Radio Network.
Jump in. Welcome to the Beyond the Game podcast on Fishbowl Radio. My name is Jamie. It's Tuesday, February the 25th, 2025. How's everyone doing out there? Good? That's good. Now, we're back. February is almost over. Can't you believe that? Now we're talking about the March Madness of the world. Everybody's favorite month of the year, March. Well, actually, some people's. But it's my favorite because of all the basketball games and all the upsets, all the emotion. You're going to see it all in the month of March. And we're going to talk about all of it today. But first, we need to talk about Zach Martin. I know Cowboys fans they're very surprised when we got the news last week that he decided to retire. For me, I just hate when Jerry doesn't give the people respect, the players the respect that he should give. This man is his 11th time pro, and you didn't surround any pieces around him to succeed. So now, if he does retire, then we got a big hole at right guard. Or he could say, you know what, I'm just taking a break right now. I could just play this 2025 season out and go out on my terms. But we got to win a championship. You got to put us in position to win a championship. And that's where guys like that who put their heart and soul into one team to try to make it work, but yeah, you got ownership failing at its peak. And so you laugh. And so now he goes into retirement just thinking, if I would have gone to another team, what would have happened? And Zach can probably do that. Zach could probably sit out this season, but he could ask the Cowboys to release him from that post-retirement crap list, whatever that list is, and allow him to go chase a championship. I want the Cowboys to do that. But if this is it for Zach Martin, it is what it is. And now we got to find a right guard in this draft. But also, my other point about it, not other point. This is not a different Cowboys point. This is about hockey versus basketball. We saw the best rivalry game last Thursday night between USA and Canada. I watched the highlights. I'm not a big hockey fan, but it was pretty special how those guys were able to play honor for their teams. And so we need to hear from PK Subban. He was talking about he was talking about hockey versus the NBA and how NBA players don't care about the game of basketball. So let's play a clip from PK Subban, please.
Where is your toughness? Where have you guys been raised that you're so weak mentally that you just give up when something doesn't go right for you?
I'm sick and tired of making athletes greats, all-time greats, that aren't the best examples. Stephen A., you want athletes to be educated on this and understand this. They got to understand the importance of showing up to the All-Star game and being on the court. Because you're making 100, 200, 300 million, you should be out there banged up. You should be. That's why we pay you, is to max out. I don't care if you play 50 years. I want your best 10. I want you on the court dominating. I want you to go all out. I want Michael Jordan. I want Kobe. That's what I want in every sport. That's the guy that I follow. You're a different version than that, you don't get my respect.
USA versus Canada, we saw guys pour out everything, the emotions, the physicality. We saw that. Every night in the NBA, we see guys sit out. In the All-Star game, we saw that as well. And what would it take? The NBA has tried. They tried to make a 65-game limit. They try to provide resources to every team out there. They have gone up and beyond to make sure that players are taken care of on a daily basis. And so now we got to turn this thing around, NBA basketball players. Because I love the NBA. I love when, get to watch Kobe, get to watch LeBron, get to watch Jordan every single night. And now it's like we don't even know who we're going to see every night. And honestly, I don't even want to watch a G League player play on an NBA team versus a vet. I don't want to see that every single night. I want to see real NBA players play the game of basketball every single night. Resources are there. You're not taking advantage of them. And it's always like we need to do something. Like what? The only need is we need players to play. We need players to care. We need players to get a damn every single night. That is the problem. Right now we don't have players that care. That's it. Players take away our monies, they take away this and that. But it just doesn't matter. And next season, you're about to go into an 11-year, a $76 million contract with NBC, Amazon, and all of them. You got inside the NBA coming to ESPN. That's a huge deal than most. So what would it take for this to happen again, for us to make sure that basketball is the number one sport that everybody's going out to watch every single night versus hockey? Now, let's talk about college basketball, men's college basketball. So there was an upset last week. There was actually two of them. Texas Tech and TCU played last Tuesday. At TCU, this is the men's team. They beat Tech 69-66. Okay, this is TCU's biggest upset of the year. Texas Tech just folded. They just didn't have enough offensively to match up with TCU. Kansas, on that same night, lost to BYU by 44 points. Well, actually, that is 34 points. 91-57. Okay. Now, in that game, this is not the same Kansas team of years past. In years past, when I watched Kansas, I saw ball movement, I saw connection on the court, I saw Bill Self coach his ass off, I saw NBA talent on that team. Now it's like every team can be beaten every single night, including Kansas. Because Kansas is a basketball school. We don't, you go to Kansas for football, that's a different story for you. But we go to Kansas to be in the top tier in basketball. And so I didn't see that BYU game coming. I knew BYU had an NBA-type offense, but that was all over the place. But late Saturday night, BYU goes to Arizona, and BYU beats Arizona 96-95 in a game that was heated. So Caleb Love had 27 points and 5 assists for Arizona. There was a play where I think he got fouled on the last play. Caleb Love got into it with one of the BYU players, and then this was the post-game handshake fight and all that stuff. To me, it was a foul. However, when you're in that post-game handshake line, we have to have self-control. And now, in this day, in this era, we're not fighting for 40 minutes in a basketball game anymore. In this era, when you get to the post-game handshake line, you never know what's going to happen. Someone can be blatantly disrespectful and throw a punch or whatever the case may be. There's not enough people to – well, there is. There is enough people to separate others from happening. So when that incident happened, BYU's trying to get their guys off the courts, and so was Arizona. But also, the Arizona fans said, "F the Mormons." How disrespectful does Arizona fans have to be to say those things in about a school's religion? You got to be kidding me. This is not right. I just feel like every time something happens on the road, somebody's always got to say something inappropriate. And honestly, Arizona, they did apologize, but they should suspend those fans for future games. If you're gonna say those things, go ahead and suspend them for future games. They're not. I'm pretty sure they're not paying for those tickets. But you got to have some form of respect here. So if you're gonna suspend them, go ahead and suspend them, because there's cameras all over the arena that shows who was disrespecting those BYU players. Oh, sorry, who's those? They're not even fans. They're just students. They're students at Arizona. They're not fans because they don't care about basketball. What makes you a fan is you care about the game of basketball. You care about your team. You just don't go out. You just don't go to an arena and disrespect another team's religion. That's number one. You're not a fan if you're doing that. You're just a student who is stupid. Number two, the Mean Green. Let's talk about the Mean Green, okay? They beat Tulsa 63-44, okay? Mullah Sissoko had the best game of the year, 27 points, 11 rebounds. The mid-pick and roll was working. You know, Tulsa couldn't stop it, the pick and roll. They held Tulsa to 33% shooting, and this was their 20th conference run. This was their 20th win of the season at that time. But they beat South Florida 64-57. Jasper Ford had 18 points. They held, again, South Florida to 35% shooting. They took all their athleticism away. And the North Texas Mean Green, could they make an NCAA tournament run? Now, you talk about beating Tulsa. You talk about beating South Florida. I feel like this North Texas team matches up well with UAB and Memphis. You know, even though that Memphis game they lost by 4 points back in January, I would say that North Texas is not in the driver's seat. But also, I would also say that North Texas has the advantage. They take everything away from you. That's the problem. That's the thing. They take everything away. They take your athleticism away. They take your three-point shots away. Necessarily, they foul a lot, but they're very physical at all aspects of the game. Number three, UConn's big issue. Now, UConn, they lose Actually, they beat Villanova 66-59. That was last. I think that was last Wednesday or Thursday. But they also lost to St. John's 89-75. And so this is not UConn's year. Majority of their players went to the draft. Some transferred in. It takes time to connect. And you see UConn, you would think that UConn will repeat because of Dan Hurley. This has been the toughest season for Dan Hurley and the UConn Huskies ever. Now, you talk about winning back-to-back championships because of the players that you have. I mean, come on now. The players that you have on that team went to the NBA, but also some players transferred out. So there's no repeat. You got to get lucky to repeat. Some players are going to go out and make a name for themselves. But others, they're going to stay. They're going to try to figure this out. UConn, unfortunately, has to figure it out. As of right now, I looked at the thing right now. They're in the NCAA tournament. We're going to talk about that later on. But right now, I wouldn't say it's not looking good, but I would say that it's just a different year. It's a different year for the biggest schools, Kansas and UConn. It's just they don't have the same connection. They don't have the same teammates that are willing to sacrifice for their own. Some of those players are coming in to UConn thinking, okay, you won a championship twice. Okay, we can come in and score 15 to 20 points. I don't think Dan Hurley wants that on your team. You can go to Kansas and get those points. I don't think Bill Self will want that either. I think Bill Self and Dan Hurley, both of them want connection. They want you to connect with your teammates. I think at this point in time, you got to connect with your teammates. All aspects of the season. Your points are going to come on certain games, but you're not going to average 20-plus points every single game. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, get 20-plus points every single game unless you're that good. And so that's not going to happen. That's why you see UConn and Kansas struggle, because there's no consistency within their roster. They'll get the biggest recruits. Like Kansas has Hunter Dickerson he went to Michigan. When Jamal Howard got fired, he goes on to Michigan. He goes on to Kansas. He dominates in Kansas. UConn, they keep some of their guys, but Stephon Castle and Andre Jackson go to the NBA. Big, focal defensive-minded guys who prevailed the way for UConn to get a championship. So that's what will take between UConn and Kansas. In order for a team to make a conference tournament run, for that matter, you have to be connected at this time. You know who your teammates are from the start of training, off season in the summer till now. You know who they are. Let's try to build from it. Speaking of Kansas, their downfall. Now, Kansas went on and beat OK State 96-64. I think OK State has lost their basketball edge. I think right now, they're no longer a basketball school. We don't even know why they're mentioned. We don't know why they're mentioned as a basketball school. I was talking about Oklahoma State. Abdul Usman goes there right now. He's a former North Texas big man. Didn't do much when he was at the Mean Green. But I think I will say this. I will say that Mullah Sissoko has done a lot more than Abdul Usman has ever done in 2 years when the Mean Green. You can't switch. This man was at Georgetown last year. Then goes from Georgetown to Oklahoma State And now we don't even know where you're at. So this is probably your last year in college basketball. And when you're going from the mid-major school to another mid-major school to a big major school who has no idea of winning basketball, you fall off the map. We don't even remember you. And that's saying respectful. That's being respectful, because we care about this team. We're not going to look up Aaron Scott. Oh, Aaron Scott's at this school. Oh, good. We'll say good luck to you, but we're not going to search you. I don't even know where Aaron Scott's at. Does it really matter? Does it really matter? No, because, again, they're off the map. Now, if for some odd reason they make a conference tournament run in their conference, then yes, we know where they're at. Not necessarily we'll talk about them, but we know where they're at. But they beat Colorado last night, 71-64. Now Colorado, not Colorado, Kansas. I can't say they're back, like I said, because again, things happen. Players leave. You get new players in. Hunter Dickinson has been dominating. I feel like Hunter Dickinson is going to be a top 30 draft pick. More like the second round. We'll see. But also Houston has a chance. Houston clinched a share of the Big 12 title. They beat Iowa State 68-59 on Saturday. They also beat Texas Tech 69-61 on last night. Okay, now Houston, even though they clinched a big share, of the regular season title, I feel like Houston has a target on their back. I feel like if Kansas finds a way to turn it on in the Big 12 tournament, then I will say that Kansas will be able to turn it on. If Kansas finds a way to turn on this Big 12 tournament, then I would say Kansas can win this thing. But again, in the Big 12 tournament, you're going against Iowa State. You're going against Kansas. You're going against Arizona. You can't forget about BYU, even though BYU has lost a lot of conference games. I think right now BYU is 9-6 in their conference. I can't count those guys out. I'm not going to. Texas Tech, I'm not counting those guys out either. Grant McCausland can coach. Their two leading scorers did not play last night. But they still gave Houston a fight. This Big 12 tournament is going to be really interesting. I'm not pinpointing Houston to win the whole thing, because in basketball it's different. It's different. I'm not even going to say South Carolina's going to win the whole SEC tournament in women's basketball. I'm not going to say that, because they got to go against LSU, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Texas, Oklahoma, and others. It's how you prepare. That's the thing. So Houston's not out of the woods yet, but they got to prepare. Now they got a few games left, so we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens between now and when the Big 12 tournament starts for them. Now, let's look at the men's side. This is the men's tournament, okay? Ooh, I wish I had a picture of this. This is according to Joe Lunardi from ESPN. This is right now. Right now he has Arkansas. Right now he has Arkansas in the top four, which is interesting. You know, you don't see John Calipari teams be in the first four right now. This is projections. This is not automatic. But this is how basketball is, right? This is how basketball is. He has Auburn, Duke, Alabama, and Florida as number one seeds. Let me tell you something. in that conference, in the American Athletic Conference, they have Memphis winning the whole thing. I just told y'all that North Texas can match up well with Memphis and UAB. That conference, in the American Athletic Conference, I'm not even going to say that's the toughest conference tournament in the next 2 weeks. I'm not going to say that whatsoever because I feel like the toughest one would be in the American. You got 4 legitimate teams that can get to the NCAA tournament. You got Memphis, you got UAB, you got North Texas, and you got Temple. I'm adding Temple to that because I feel like Temple can make noise. We're not paying attention to a lot more Temple stuff. And so for me, was me seeing Memphis there is an absolute disrespect because there's not enough North Texas basketball around. North Texas, if I can remember correctly, won 19 games last season. Okay? 19. This team has 20 wins through 26 games. I'm not saying that North Texas is going to be automatically be in the NCAA tournament. I'm saying that North Texas can match up well in this tournament with Memphis and UAB by ball movement and defense. It's just that with Memphis, they have a bigger team, so they have guys that have a lot more. They have edgy guys, and they're coached by a former NBA player, in Penny Hardaway, and so guys are he's challenging their players left and right. Ross Hodges challenges their players every single day. He's challenging them every single day to be authentic. You never know what's going to happen in this tournament. North Texas could be 1-0. And now my conversation with them will be always for nothing. So do I think North Texas can make the NCAA tournament? I do. I think I do. I'm confident. But again, Memphis turns it on. UAB turns it on. The dark horse will be Temple. That's a dark horse. So this bracket would change every single day for the next week or so. We'll definitely talk about it in full detail as we go. We'll probably talk about it next week because next week we got to preview. The Big 12 and the what's it called? The Big 12 and the SEC conference tournaments for the women's side. Now, let's talk. Speaking of the ladies, let's talk about the ladies, okay? So TCU, number one. That's number one. TCU beat Arizona State 82-66. TCU also beat West Virginia 71-50 on Sunday. This was an ESPN2 game on Sunday, a blackout game for TCU. TCU's Haley Van Lith had 26 points against West Virginia and 6 rebounds. JJ Cornelly, I was scared that she was going to go off, but she didn't go off in this game. TCU held her to 13 points. A box of one that they on Cornelly proved the difference for TCU. The pick and roll in the mid roll between Connor and Beasley was Sedone Prince rolling. Well, sorry, not even Beasley, but Haley Van Lith in the basket proves the fact that TCU is dangerous. Now, TCU is not the best team in this in all of America, but TCU plays their way, and it works. And I was just reminded that TCU is the oldest team in college basketball. Their average age is 23. Haley Van Lith is probably like 23, 24 years old. Sedona Prince is going to be 25 this summer. So she's going to be halfway towards 30 by the time the draft starts. So at 25 years old, Sedona Prince is going to be. Luka turns 26 in 3 days. You're telling me Sedona Prince is going to be 25 this summer, and a team's going to build around her. A team. I'm not mad at that. I'm just surprised because I'm like, at 25 years old, we got to build a team around you. It's fine. That's better than an 18, 19-year-old kid. I can't trust that. I can trust 25. That's midlife. That's mid-year, midlife. You can build a team through her in the draft. So, I could do that. But as long as this team's connected, as long as this team feeds off each other, TCU can win the Big 12 tournament. I'm not saying the conference title. I don't care about the conference title. Sorry, I don't care about the regular season title. I don't care. What I care about is the conference tournament in the Big 12. That's what I care about. And so for TCU to win this thing, you got to give credit to Mark Campbell. Last year was a waste. Last year you had to hold a practice a tryout in the mid-season because you lost players. And I went off for him for that. I went off. I said, this ain't right. You know what Mark Campbell did? Not again. Let's go recruit here. Let's go recruit there. Nobody cares about having a practice in mid-season. No one cares about that. Mark Campbell did it. And that's why I say, you know what? Give him the coach of the year. He was aggressive. In the offseason, he said, I want players who are going to play right now. He got players. And now TCU is ranked in the top 20. And now TCU is going to not only win the Big 12 regular season championship, but also in the Big 12 conference title. I'm automatic. They got to face Baylor and West Virginia again, or K-State. Those are the three teams that TCU can match up well with. They actually lost to K-State. But I do think that TCU can rebound from this. You face K-State again, I do believe that TCU can recover from a loss from K-State that a couple of weeks ago. Number 2, North Texas. This is North Texas' lone game this week. They beat East Carolina 75-73. I think it was in 2 overtimes. No, this wasn't overtime. Yeah, it was just 1 overtime. Tamisha Lampkin for the third straight game had 23 points and 15 rebounds. They overcame 22 turnovers and 14 missed free throws. Let's see. They crowded the paint. Lampkin and Johnson fouled out in the game. They forced 31 ECU turnovers. Now, here's the thing. 22 turnovers and 14 missed free throws. Plus, the announcer for East Carolina, they were horrible. They were horrible describing this game. But North Texas came out on top. It shows some resiliency that they had. North Texas failed this game. They played horrible. When Jason Burton was asked about how did North Texas play in the first half, he was blatantly honest. And the announcers laughed. Because you want them to say, the announcers want you to lie to them and say, you know what? It was a great first half. It wasn't. It was terrible. North Texas was terrible in the first half. You can't. You got to be honest sometimes. It's okay. That's how you are successful. That's how Don Staley is successful. That's how Mark Campbell is successful. That's how Gino, who has won a bunch of championships at UConn, Noah Ivy, who recently got the number one ranking in all of college basketball, is successful because you got to be blunt. You got to be blunt in your answers. Your team played awful in the first half. You turned the ball over. The possessions were off. Every missed shot that you could have missed, you missed. But you recovered. In the second half and the overtime, you recovered. You start to make shots. The flow in the game was on North Texas' side, not necessarily ECU. ECU, they are a really tough team to play against. You know, they make you play their game. And their game is more like the half-court stuff. Like their team is very athletic, but their team was very sloppy that game because that game ECU had 31 turnovers, like I mentioned. The announcers did not mention that they had 31 turnovers because again, they want you to lie. They want you to lie. Okay, you had a bad first half. You were down by 7. That's terrible. Okay, they want you to lie to them. If I was ever coaching a team, I would never lie to an announcer. I would say, you know what? How was the first half? We played terrible, even though we're down by 10, even though we're up by 1 or up by 5. I'll be blatantly on. You got to be blunt. That's how you are successful. Got to be blunt. Number 3, South Carolina's bounce back. South Carolina beat Arkansas 95-55, but also they beat Vanderbilt 82-54. Now, Elijah for a while they had 24 points in that game. Joyce Edwards had 18 points and 8 rebounds against Arkansas. Now, I was looking at. I told people last week, South Carolina got outplayed by UConn. Yes. I was telling myself last week, I said, in order for you to beat South Carolina, you have to be physical. You have to be physical. No ifs or buts about it. UConn was physical was South Carolina. The only thing UConn does not have is length. However, they have physicality with South Carolina. They can beat South Carolina again if they play again. When UCLA beat them in November, UCLA not only has physicality, they have length. UCLA is long at the perimeter. That's what they were the number 1 team in the country. And this is why people have them pinpoint as winning the championship. I don't. I don't have UCLA winning the championship. And matter of fact, I told y'all last week, I said, this thing is wide open. You can't say South Carolina is going to win this thing. You're not going to say that. After what we watched again last week was UConn, you can say UConn can win it. But I'm not even going to say UConn can win it at all. Because when the light shines bright, Paige Becker struggles. And when the light shines bright, Paige gets saved by AZ Fudd or Sarah Strong or whoever. Literally, AZ Fudd, if she did not have the best third quarter that she ever had, UConn's not winning that game. I can't even say right now, and this is my little star point, I can't say right now that Paige Becker is the number 1 pick in the draft. I can't say that anymore. I'm not so sure. After looking at the games that I've seen on ESPN, we're seeing a different Paige Beckers. Now, I'm not saying, okay, Paige, you got to go out there and score 20 points and then get 10 assists. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying the shooting percentage has been off for Paige. That's what I'm saying, when the lights get bright. So with South Carolina, even though their offense is ran by their bench, that's literally their bench. Their offense is ran by their bench. They average 40-plus points off the bench. That's Malaysia Folali and Joyce Edwards. That's their bench. That's their team. I thought it would be Chloe Kitts. I thought it would be Raven Johnson, but they're not scorers. They're not scorers. That's what South Carolina kind of semi-struggles with, and they're okay with that. They're okay with that. They're okay with their starters not scoring more than 10 points. They're okay with Joyce Edwards and Malaysia Folali providing a spark off the bench. They're okay with that. They know their team. That's what I'm saying. South Carolina is not the lock in the conference in the SEC tournament. I'm telling you that right now. I can say Ole Miss, Texas. I can say OU. I just said them. This is not a cakewalk. This season right here in the tournament is not a cakewalk for South Carolina. It's not. You're going to have games where you're going to get the best out of these opponents. Yes, logic says South Carolina is the number one seed in the tournament. Yes, you can say that. But can you really honestly say that they're the dominant number one seed right now? Can you really say that? Or could you give it to Texas? Or could you give it to Notre Dame? Now, speaking of the SEC tournament, Michaela Blakes. She plays at Vanderbilt. I did not know this girl till a couple weeks ago. She dropped 55 and 53 points respectively. And I watched her game. I said, who does she remind you of? Honestly, I don't know. I think she'll be the best two guard in Vanderbilt's history. Or better yet, in the draft in future years. And so we need to hear from Michaela Blakely. Again, I just started watching this chick a couple weeks ago, and she says some great things about her game. So let's hear from Michaela Blakely, please.
Talked about the 55 points. You had 53 less than 3 weeks before that. What are the goals? Because I feel like you can do more.
Yeah, definitely. I think not really focus on the scoring, but just when I'm needed to do that, I'm able to do that and capable to take good shots and get myself to the free throw line as well. But really just want to win.
What exactly do you focus on when you're in a zone like that? What is the mindset?
Wow. I don't even know if there's a mindset or any thoughts going through my head. It's really just attack and just read the defense and make a smart play and just give my team that energy boost.
It's that flow state. That's what they like to talk about. That just means you're in the zone, as I mentioned earlier. So thinking long-term goals, big goals for the season, what do you have?
Just want to have a deep run in the SEC tournament and the NCAA tournament for this team. I think we're capable of it.
Okay, I like her confidence. I really like her confidence. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh. So we'll see what happens. We'll see. I want to see where they're at right now. Let's talk about Notre Dame's number rank. This is number 4. Notre Dame beat Miami 82-42. But also they lost to NC State 104-95 in double overtime. Olivia Myers had 22 points and 9 rebounds. Hannah Hindaga had 26 points and 5 rebounds. NC State, as long as NC State is relevant, as long as Zoe Brooks is still there, and Azariah James, this team's still going to still be there. Zoe Brooks had 33 points and 10 rebounds. Azariah James had 20 points and 5 rebounds. Now, you can easily say that not Notre Dame. Yeah, you can easily say Notre Dame is the best team in the country. Hands down, yeah, absolutely. They are the best team in the country. Coached by Noel Ivey. The best 2 guards in the country, the best guard duo in the country, Olivia Miles and Hannah Hidalgo, Sonia Centra, who is in the top 5. Sorry, not in the top 5, the top 12 in the draft. You talk about a shooter that can really shoot. Yeah, she can fit on any team. Olivia Miles is really trying to race to get that number one draft pick. If I'm Dallas, I'm looking at Olivia Miles. You gave up You gave up Jace Sheldon for what? For DJ Carrington and Nelissa Smith. More DJ Carrington. It's not a bad trade. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that Olivia Miles fits well on this team than Paige Beckers. That's what I'm saying. So you talk about pro ready. Olivia Miles and Hannah Hidalgo are pro ready. And so I look at this Notre Dame team. I look at their team, and I say to myself, as long as Olivia Miles and Hannah Hidalgo are playing, Notre Dame can go far. Further down than what people have them at. So, what I would say about their team is that this team is tough. It's going to be tough to defend. They don't have size, but they have skill. Their defense is okay, not against NC State, but their defense will not get them far. That's the work they need to work on, their defense. Now, if you look at the ACC tournament now, you can easily say North Carolina, you can easily say NC State, you can say Notre Dame as well. Those are 3 teams come to my mind right now. And so we tell ourselves, where does Notre Dame fit at? How can Notre Dame make a deep run in a tournament? We're not talking about the conference tournament because the conference tournament is going to be tougher than it is. We're talking about the NCAA tournament. How can they make a deep run? Those questions will be answered in the tournament, the conference tournament. Because I feel like you'll face NC State again, and could NC State win? Like I said, as long as Azariah James and Zoe Brooks are there, you're not beating NC State. Period. Number 5. Now, Notre Dame lost their number 1 ranking on Sunday. Texas got it. Texas beat Georgia 57-26. Taylor Jones had 17 points and 16 rebounds. So Texas is the new number 1. Now, I want to give a quick tidbit of Georgia. Georgia had 26 points through 40 minutes of play last night. This is Georgia's women's basketball. I know that Georgia's women's basketball is not sexy. It's not great. It's not great basketball. But there needs to be a culture change in Georgia. Your momentum at Georgia should be built off the football team. It should be. Off the football team. Because right now, this is not it. Georgia. Nobody's going to watch Georgia women's basketball. Maybe they'll go watch Texas. Maybe they'll go watch South Carolina. This is why you want. This is why Texas. This is why you got South Carolina. This is why you got LSU fans going to Georgia to cheer for not only to cheer for Texas, South Carolina, and LSU. If you want to have a team, if you want to have fans on your side, you got to make the product more marketable. Right now, no one's going to Georgia basketball. For what? For what? If there's a coaching change the coach. Change the atmosphere. You can't have 26 points on your roster through 40 minutes of play last night against the number one team. Even though they were the number one team, it wasn't a dominant performance by Texas last night. It wasn't. And Vic Schaefer can say what he wants, but it wasn't dominant enough. So, in order for Georgia to be an elite basketball program in the SEC, you gotta fix the product. Period. It took LSU to fix the product. It took Kim Mulkey to come in there and fix it, LSU. It took Dawn Staley years to fix out South Carolina. And now Dawn Staley has recruits from the 1% till now to go to South Carolina. You got Vic Schaefer, who, by the way, the last coach didn't do a bad job at Texas. But Vic came from Mississippi State, challenged himself to go to Texas along with his daughter to fix Texas basketball, and he's fixed it. Ole Miss, same thing. Now they're defensive heavy. Vanderbilt, same thing. Well, Vanderbilt's got. You can't have more than one. You can't have one player scoring all your points. But that program's on the rise. OU, they're right in the middle, but they're not like up here. They're right in the middle. So what I'm saying to Georgia is they got to fix it. You got to make the product more marketable. Now let's look at the NCAA tournament for Texas for the women's side. Now, according to Charlie Cream of ESPN, this is the interesting one. He has Iowa State as the last four in. He also has Arizona and South Florida, both of them as the first four out. So South Florida, even though North Texas has a better record than South Florida is being considered as the first four out. I don't think North Texas scheduled enough quad games to consider themselves in this position. So North Texas has got to win by automatic qualifiers. It's not a bad thing. But it's interesting because he has Iowa State as the first four in. That's interesting. Now, the number one seed, he has UCLA, Texas, obviously, South Carolina, and Notre as the number one seeds. So I can agree on these four number ones. It's going to be real interesting because I look at the American Athletic Conference again, North Texas at women's basketball. They have UTSA in that round. In the NCAA tournament. This hasn't been a good season. Actually, it hasn't been a great season for North Texas women's basketball. I know last season was special, but this season hasn't been the best But I can't even say that North Texas can match up well with South Florida or UTSA, even though those were close losses that they endured against both of those teams. So in order for North Texas women's basketball to be in this position, you got to take care of business in the conference tournament. That's it. You got to take care of business in the conference tournament. Because if you don't, then it'll be another loss. I say it'll be another season of, again, we won 20 games. We won 21. We won 22. Now what's the ceiling? You did everything in the offseason. You addressed everything in the offseason. You got this one player coming back who won't live with regret of coming back. And then, well, actually, 5 years from now, you could say we had a chance. But what could we have done? You know? So I do think that North Texas does match up well with UTSA, not necessarily with South Florida. So when they play again, I expect North Texas to beat UTSA in the conference tournament. I expect them from that. Even though the leader scorer had 26 points against us, you got to be able to shut her off. Again, we will preview this throughout the whole entire week, the entire episode. We will preview this again next week when we talk about the Big 12 tournament in the Big 12 tournament and the SEC tournament. So we're going to really dive into those tournaments. Previews next week. But coming up next, well, actually, let's play. Well, no, we're gonna play that clip after the break. But coming up next, let's talk about some WNBA and NBA stuff. What is happening in the WNBA with the Atlanta Dream? How was their offseason? How was the Connecticut Sun's offseason? How are the Lakers going to be in the Western Conference Finals? Are they even in the Western Conference Finals? And let's talk about the 76ers' big mess. Let's talk about all that next. It's Beyond the Game of Fishbowl Radio.
I'ma get no be so. Yeah, you won't capture my soul. I'ma get no be so. Make you want umbo. Better, bye. I'm loose. Even better done the para. Tonight in Josie, I'm in Josie. Won't call if you want Josie. I'm not playing with you, I'm not joking. My thought of mom is loaded. Me you can fight up, but I'm on molly. I'm on duty, but I'm on low-key. They want do me, they want do me. They want do me, so they want do me. When you won't want me, when you won't want me, I'm in San Francisco, Jammy. When you won't want me, when you won't want me, I just flew in from Miami. Peru, para, I'm loose. Even Peru done me para. Pour out the bottle, I wanna level up. When I'm with you, I never get enough. Slow wine, I'm not in a rush. I can hear music when you're here. Tonight we're rolling, party till closing. Since I put the ring on the finger, it's still frozen. Love in slow motion, I wanna feel you over me, yeah. Certain magic in your eyes, yeah. Girl, I love the way you ride it. And it happens every time you arrive, that's right. Girl, I want you in my life, yeah. There's a heaven and it's right here. I will never leave your side, stay tonight. When you won't see me, when you won't see me, I'm in West London this evening, giving me the feelings, no I'm not leaving, till I fly LA next weekend. Peru, nah, girl I'd rather go find somewhere quiet. You glow, and I get lost here in your eyes. I'ma gain all be so, girl you just capture my soul. I'ma gain all be so, make me wanna just take you home. Peru, para, Peru, Peru, para. I'm loose, even Peru donde para. Peru, para, Peru, Peru, para. I'm loose, even Peru donde para. Peru, para, Peru, Peru, para. I'm loose, even Peru donde para. My baby, my Valentine's. Can I hear the making my temperature the rise? If you leave me, I could die. I swear. You are like the oxygen I need to survive. I'll be honest. Your love ain't it totally me. I am so obsessed. I want to chop your kobe. I want it to come she open up, make I see one. You're my love, one city. Make a bad man sing, $1,000 I go spend for your head. Talk on that once, I don't care what you said. Cause your mother, now him I want to carry for my head every night. Now you I want to carry to my bed. Oh, no, no. Don't tell me no, no, no. You could be my partner, never ride it solo. And we can do, I'm lucky, no need to party. I'm feeling what you're doing, oh yeah, baby, carry go. Dance it. Now you ready, cause I fancy. They do me, I keep parking. Oh, no, no, no. Girl, I want to go, but you got me coming. I should have be coming early in the morning. Oh yeah, she can make you send my boy. Call me Mr. Bean, I go make you on. Give me, baby, make you give me. I go show you loving, I go take you to my city. Loneliness can make a look pity. You want me to sing your me before you go see me. Fine girl, you know your body bad. Same body bad, can make you shake it for Ghana. Kia dance for me, baby, pan. Come and do the show, no, no, no.
Exclusivité. Axel. DJ Yo.
introverted, can't make friends. Pray for better days, now it's 300K when my day ends. Do you remember last night, cause I blacked out in that all-white dress with a back out. Said be careful with her heart, cause it's fragile. And thinking about her past, make her lash out. See with me, it ain't no worries at all. Any problem, I'll be there in one call. If we locked in, you my dog. Finna you hang pictures on my wall. Roll one, let's get high tonight. Backseat, Maybach, lavish life. Chilling with the stars like a satellite. AP on my arm and it's shining bright. Living in the haze, staying in the shade. All I do is sit around and wait for better days. I could use a break. Can I get an amen? All I do is sit around and wait for better days. Sit around and wait. Better days. I can use a break. Better all I do is sit around and wait for better days. Better days. All I do is sit around and wait for better days.
Welcome back to the Beyond the Game podcast on Fishbowl Radio. My name is Jamie. So let's talk about the WNBA and the NBA. But first, we need to play a clip from Rick Pitino. Now, Rick Pitino was talking about his team being down by, I think they were down by double digits against this game. I can't remember the opponent, but this is one of the best motivational quotes of all time, and it gives us some light of what everybody in life is facing. So let's play a clip from Rick Pitino, please.
Toughness. Where have you guys been raised that you're so weak mentally that you just give up when something doesn't go right for you? Don't you know what adversity is all about? That's a game of life. That's a game of basketball. You don't get down when things go wrong. You dig it and get tougher. Your whole life's going to be adversity. Learn how to deal with it.
So anyways, you heard from Rick Pitino. He's absolutely right. This is adversity hits. You gotta learn from that. You gotta move on. And so that's his message to the team. But also, I want to play that clip because these games matter. The tournament, the conference tournament is going to happen. There's going to be emotions. There's going to be adversity. There's going to be everything in conference tournaments and NCAA tournament. You got to prepare, but also deal with it. So let's talk with the Connecticut Sun, number one. They're my first one. They hired I can't even pronounce his name. Rashid Mazine. He coached the Belgium team in the Olympics. The one famous WNBA player that he had was Emma Musselman, whatever her name is. I can't. This is what happens when you can't pronounce names that don't even matter. And so when I saw that, I said, why? Why did you decide to go overseas to hire a coach? Why? And Morgan Tuck and Darius Taylor, they're smart people. You remember Morgan Tuck. Well, Morgan Tuck was the UConn big girl. She went to UConn and ended her career early and now she's the GM of the Connecticut Sun. And so you lose Alyssa Thomas, you lose DeWanna Bonner, you lose Taisha Harris, you lose Dejan Carrington, all to free agency, trades and all that stuff, and whatnot. And now you're rebuilding. You also lost Brianna Jones to the Atlanta Dream, which we'll talk about that in a second. And now you go overseas to a coach. Okay, excuse me. What happened to Lisa Leslie? What happened to Nikki Blue? What happened to Brian Angler? What happened to Noella Henry, who was the Sparks assistant coach, who coached one game last season for the Sparks? What happened to those coaches that I mentioned? You had to go overseas to hire a guy with experience. Again, I'm not trying to disrespect the guy that has it. I can't pronounce his name. If I can't pronounce his name, it's not a great fit. But then again, I don't run the WNBA. So why in the world did you decide that overseas coaching is great than USA coaching? Lisa Leslie's there. See, I told you. If Lisa Leslie and other legends do not get a job in the WNBA, that tells me where society is as far as this WNBA goes. You're telling me that a 16-time All-Star you couldn't even hire to run your team. She just mentioned that she's available. I mean, I'm not saying hire Gino. I'm saying Nikki Blue had that team. Even though she went 7-17, they were running professional offenses. They loved their coaching. I thought that she was going to get the full-time position in Phoenix, but they gave it to Nate Tibbetts. Okay, it's not bad. How do you lose Brittany Griner and what's that girl's name? The girl just popped in my mind. I can't remember her name. Sophie Cunningham. But yet, Diana Taurasi is continuing to play games with us. We're about to go into March, and Diana Taurasi has not announced anything. She's playing games. But now, you lose Alyssa Thomas. You lose Duana Bonner. You lose DJ Carrington. You lose Taisha Harris. You lose Brianna Jones. You lost five of your best players from last season's team. And now you gain Natasha Cloud. You gain Tina Charles. And you gain one other player I can't remember. But also, here's the thing. Marina Mayberry wants to trade. She wanted to trade 2 weeks ago. Last week, you said no. We're keeping Marina. Do you really think that Marina is going to be the face of your franchise? Heck, I don't even know where the pick is as far as the draft goes. But if I'm the Sun, they need everything. They need everything. And I hate to say that because it's true. I don't know where this coach is going to come. I don't know where he's coming from. I know that he coached the Belgian team, but also you got two people running your organization saying that overseas coaching is better than American coaching. Are you saying that to us? Are you lying to us? Because if you are, you need to stop it. And so I'm not saying there's dumb people. I'm saying that this was awkward, but I hope that it makes sense. I hope it works out. Again, I'm pretty sure he's in the American for the first time. But I'm not even a fan. I'm not a fan. But this is full rebuild. There's no championship in the future in Connecticut. There's no championship at all. This looks awful. The roster looks awful. Marina Mary does not want to be there. People were saying do the Jimmy Butler route, which I highly disagree with. Do not do the Jimmy Butler route. Just be there. Be there. If the team happens to trade you, you trade him. Then they'll trade you by your request. But right now is not the time. Right now, it's time for your leadership to grow. That's for Marina Mayberry. Marina, you were here in Dallas. It didn't work out. Okay? You also went to Chicago. You said you couldn't deal with Angel Reese and Sinead Carter, who, by the way, who hasn't had a job this offseason. Every team is focusing on this guard-heavy draft. They're not focusing on Sinead Carter. They're focusing on the draft because they realize this is a guard-heavy draft, and they can get the best guard possible in the first 12 picks, or even the first 24 picks. These teams know that. They want to build their team off youth and not Sinead Carter, which, by the way, should have a job. But if we're saying that you haven't had a job between when the free agent period started till now, that's saying something. And now every owner, every GM in America next week is going to turn the page into the NCAA tournament and elevate guards, elevate forwards, elevate post players that they need for their team. They're not worried about one player. They're worried about what their need on their team is. So I'm bringing her name up because she hasn't had a job, but this will be the perfect job for her. Now, but finishing up on Marina Mayberry, okay, you didn't want to deal with the voices of Angel Reese. Okay, fine. They say, let's take you to not Charlotte. Let's take you to Connecticut Sun. You're going to pair up with DeWanna Bonner. You're going to pair up with Alyssa Thomas. You're going to pair up with Denisha Carrington. You're going to pair up with Tanisha Harris. You're going to be coached by Stephanie White. Let's see how that works out. Okay? It doesn't work. You lose not only those 5 players that I mentioned, you lost Stephanie White to the Indiana Fever. This Stephanie White said, I'm going to think about it. Connecticut Sun could have fired her. They could have easily fired Stephanie White. But they didn't. They said, we're going to give her some time. We're going to give her some time to focus on what she needs to focus on. And when that focus turned away, Stephanie White made a decision to move on. The Indiana Fever job came available. She took it. The roster is better built to win a championship than the Connecticut Sun is. Now, I want to be wrong. We never see the team have like one main player win a championship off the roster. But I expect Marina Mayberry to stay there to work it out. I expect that from her. And I expect Morgan Tuck and Darius Taylor to make better decisions when it comes to free agency. You got Natasha Cloud. You got Tina Charles. Those are great veteran players. So not all hope is lost but however, the rebuild is there. The rebuilding will start. But I'm not sure why Marina Mayberry wants to trade from Connecticut Sun. Even though they failed, even though they got rid of 5 players, plus the coach, you got to remember that not everything is going to happen not everything great is going to happen overnight. It takes work. It takes time. You gotta stay there until it works out. Remember, you started here in Dallas. You also went to Chicago. Then it didn't work out. You go to Connecticut. Now you want to trade somewhere else. Where do you want to go? Can't you just stay there and work it out? That's why I say, you know what? They have to deny this trade. It's easy for these fuckers to say, yeah, I said fuckers. It's easy for these fuckers to go online and say, do the Jimmy Butler drought. You think it's the easy route. You think Jimmy Butler will say, you know what? I don't want to play for the Miami Heat. Let me tell you something. That will never happen again. I don't want any player or any other non-player do the Jimmy Butler route ever again. If that happens, you are a worthless human being. I can't even call you a human being. I just got to call you a fool. So don't ever do that. Number 2, the Atlanta Dreams offseason recap. Brittany Griner, Brianna Jones, Satori Walker-Kimbrough. All 3 of them get signed. Carl Samoko is the coach. He has a lot of work to do. He wants to run and gun. He wants to grab the rebound, run and gun, get it layups, shoot transition threes. In the way I was listening to his press conferences, defense is key because they got Brandy Poole. Brandy Poole used to be the assistant coach here in Dallas. Brandy was the defensive coordinator in Dallas. And when Letitia did not want her to run the defense, that's where we fell. And so Brandy goes to Atlanta, runs the defense over there. And we'll see what happens. I think the Atlanta Dream, the reason why they were in the position they were last year is because of their defense in meaningful games. Could they reach the top 5 in the league? I believe they can. You talk about having help for Alicia Gray, getting help from Ryan Howard because Ryan Howard can't do it on her own. Alicia Gray has games that she's like 2 for 10, or there's games where she's gone 8 for 15. We need the 8 for 15 Alicia Grays. We don't need 2 for 10. I think she's pressing a little bit. You got Brittany Griner, you got Brianna Jones. Both players who shoot 60% and up, respectively, all time. You got Walker-Kimbrough, who is a perimeter defense minutes, can fit in the rotation right away. And so, when you have those things, you can easily say the Atlanta Dream are in the top 5. But again, will they be able to adjust to Carl Samoko's coaching? The culture is a confusing one. Because even though Atlanta is a black city, they expect a black coach. They expect, a black women coach, a black men coach. They can expect a white one. So I was shocked. I was shocked. But however, I looked at his history yesterday and I said, you know what? This might be a good hire for the Atlanta Dream. And Renee Montgomery, nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. But it will take time. It will take time for them to build the culture up again. Again, Tinashe Wright is not a bad coach. It's just in the wrong situation. She's not a bad coach. It's just the wrong situation at the wrong time. And Carl Samoka, we'll see what happens. I'm not saying it's instant success. I'm not saying what I said last year because I did say that the Dream are a better team than the Liberty. I'm not saying that anymore. Obviously, the Liberty are better. They're not. I can't say the Liberty are better than the Aces. I'm not going to say that right now. I'm not going to say the Dream are better in this offseason. Even though Brittany Griner is on a 1-year contract. She could sign again. We'll see. But do I say that they're a championship team? It remains to be seen. Now, I'm going to give this Dream offseason a B. I think Brittany Griner and Brianna Jones is a big plus to their low post positioning. Also, Walker Kimball helps with their perimeter defense, and also his some mid range jumpers. So you got help. You got a point guard. You got Ryan Howard. You got Alicia Gray. You got Brianna Jones. You got Brittany Griner. You got the roster in place to be in the top 5 conversation. Number 3, the Spurs. Oh, God. The Spurs, they're 24-31. Pop is announced last week that he won't be coaching for the rest of the season. It'll be all Mitch Johnson all the way. Now his future is in doubt. His future is in doubt. What will happen? I don't know. Pop is, 6 years old? 2 years younger than Trump. Pop does not have a lot of health problems, but I feel like, I honestly feel like, I hate to say this, but I feel like Pop will have to will coach again. I think give him some rest. I think he'll coach again next season. I'll be surprised if he decides to go in the front office role. If he does, then the league is changing. If he does go into the front office role, it won't be a bad role for him to take. But Mitch Johnson, he needs a full offseason of coaching experience. And I'm talking about, go to a coaching camp. Take the Joe Mazzulla route, whatever he did in the offseason to make sure that he's ready to coach in the NBA. Take that route. Joe Mazzulla took that route when he got thrown in the fire from the Ime Udoka scandal. And he won a championship in 2024 against Luka and the Mavericks. And so with Mitch Johnson, I expect him to coach. I expect him to take that route. If he does get the full-time gig, which I do think he will. We don't have any post play. Wemby's out for the season with a deep vein thrust both in, I can't pronounce that name. A doctor will have to tell me that, in his right shoulder. So Wemby went through the whole All-Star weekend doing all the drills and all this stuff, and all of a sudden that story came out last week, and I was like, wow, okay, Wemby. I wish him well. They caught it early. He's, again, guys like that at 7'4", 7'5" are going to have injuries. Are going to have injuries. Not like that, but they're going to have injuries because they're so tall. They're very agile. There's not a player that I've ever seen of all time there's not a player of that height that I've heard that have had injuries like that. I heard Yao Ming had a lot of foot injuries. I heard that Sean Bradley had a lot of ankle injuries. And so I'm not comparing those two because those two are different. Wemby is a generational talent. I expect Wemby to be in the league long term. I'm glad the Spurs caught it early because if they didn't catch it, then it would have been career over at 21, 22 years old for Wemby. But we see the future for him. People have told me, people have said Cooper Flag. I'm not even going that route. There's a person right next to me that said we should fight for the number 1 pick. I'm not even going that route. The Wizards have the number 1 pick. You're telling me we're worse than the Wizards? The Wizards have only 10 wins. I don't want to be in that situation. We are in the play. We're in the play-in. Okay? Right now, we're 24-31. We just need a post presence to hold down the middle. We don't need Zion or anybody else jumping at the middle of the paint. We don't have solid guys like that. Or Jalen Durden, for that matter, dunking all over us. Or Cade Cunningham making layups all over us all night long. We don't need that. What we need is a big man guard in the middle. There's not enough of that in this league. Unfortunately. Bismack Biyombo's doing whatever he can, but it's not enough. He needs help. That starts at the perimeter. Take the defense seriously. We got to make the playoffs. You can't win 24 games and bail out. Right now, we're what? I'm trying to look at the record. Right now, we're what's it called? Right now, we're 5 games behind from the last 10th spot in the West. Let's make it happen. It starts with tonight. Let's win tonight. Beat the Pelicans. They have nothing on their team. Beat the Rockets tomorrow night. The Grizzlies on Saturday. The Thunder on Sunday. And then the Nets next Tuesday. We can do this. We can make the playoffs. No more excuses. As long as Chris Paul's on the team and healthy, then we should be able to make the playoffs wholeheartedly. Number 4, the Lakers' big responses, and my apology to LeBron. So I need to apologize to LeBron James. I'm sorry, LeBron. Last week I called you a chicken for chickening out in the All-Star game. Okay, I'm sorry. All right. I apologize for saying that you gave up, saying that you're worthless. I'm sorry. You're one of the GOATs, not Luka. You're one of the GOATs of all time. This man scored 40 points against Portland after scoring 26 points, 7 rebounds, and 11 assists against the Hornets. They lost that game against the Hornets. But he comes back and scores 40 points on the next night. Most guys are not playing on the next night. At 40 years old, this man, LeBron James, played his butt off. At 40. Zion can't even do that. And Zion says injury management, but your team is 15 games under 500, Zion. This man, LeBron James, has his team 4th in the West. This man went 25 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists. 40 years old, jumping around, healthy. Played on a back-to-back night. He didn't have to. He could have told J.J. Redick, I want to sit out. But this man came back and played. Now, I'm sorry, LeBron. I will never doubt your greatness ever again. I'm sorry. You're one of the GOATs. I've been asked if they can make a Western Conference Finals run. No. Here's why. You got to go do OKC and Denver for that. Even though Luka's great on their team, and they have all the pieces around Dorian Finney-Smith and Jackson Hayes, all of them, Austin Reeves, Dalton Connect, they got a good team, but this is not Western Conference worthy. It's not. You got to go to the Thunder. The Thunder haven't made. The Thunder said, you know what, we lost in the second round last year. We're going to improve. That's why you got Alex Caruso. That's why you got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the automatic MVP. And so, no, I'm not going to say LeBron. I'm not going to say the Lakers will make a West Conference Finals run because there's still a lot of games to be played. If you're going to agree with Shannon and Angelo here, then you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. You got to take it one game at a time. So what if the Lakers lose 2 or 3 straight games? You're going to say, the West, that's all right. Well, the West Conference, we got it. You're not going to say that. You're going to figure out why they lost to teams like the Hornets or teams like the Blazers. That's what you're going to figure out. And then I already told you that J.J. Redick could be mentioned the Coach of the Year. I don't think it's close. You can easily give it to Mark Dago again. You can easily give it to Kenny Atkinson. Those will be my finalists as Coach of the Year. But J.J. Redick, also, you can't forget J.B. Bickerstaff. You can't forget J.B. Bickerstaff. This man was fired from Cleveland. And then has the Pistons plus 18 in the win column at 32-26. I don't want the NBA to forget J.B. Bickerstaff. But tonight against the Mavericks, I expect Doncic to go off. I expect this is a personal game for Luka Doncic. Don't go after your teammates, your former teammates. Go for 40 and 50 points respectively. I think Luka will have 40. A 40-point triple-double tonight. It's personal. Nico traded him. In what way does Nico see that Luka's fat? In what way? I don't see it. That's going to be on. If the Mavericks lose that game tonight by double digits, that's going to happen, then Nico doesn't need to show his face ever again. Number 5, the 76ers mess. The team has lost 8 straight. Can Tyrese Maxey, even though he signed a 5-year contract, can Tyrese Maxey ask for a trade? This is why Tyrese Maxey called out Joel Embiid in November or December, whatever the month that happened. This is why he called him out. And he was exactly right. We're calling him out in the media because Joel has not played in consecutive games. Joel picks and chooses games. And this is the results the 76ers get. They get a 32-point loss to the Bulls last night. The Bulls, out of all teams in the league, beat you by 32 points. Wow. That's crazy. But then again, Paul George is the same one. Paul George picks and chooses games as well. Paul George is doing more of the podcasts than playing basketball. And that's why you saw him score 19 points. Even though it looks good, well, Paul George is like, I want to pick and choose my games. Paul George is going to be heavy on that podcast in the offseason. As he should. But he doesn't care about basketball anymore. He doesn't care. Neither just Joel Embiid. Now, is it time for Joel Embiid to retire? Yes. I just don't see him lasting past next season. Like, if you say this season, right? If you say in the next couple of days, I got to get reevaluation on my knee, what does that say? That says you did not take the knee procedure seriously. That says a lot. That tells me that you're done. That tells me this game of basketball, you don't even care about it. You don't care about the game of basketball anymore, Joel. It's all about sitting out and doing what Joel is best at. This is from an MVP guy. You want to sit out because of what? You want to sit out because it's the best thing to do for you. But we just saw you play in a series last season with one leg. You don't take things lightly. You should have had the surgery last season. Don't worry about USA basketball. We would have been fine with Anthony Davis just being the main 5-man. That's fine. Or Bam Adebayo as the main 5 guy. It's fine. You didn't have to go to France. It's fine. But your season, your career is done. It's donezo. There's no hope. There's no hope for the 76ers this year. But I expect Maxey to go to the front office and ask for a trade at some point. I can't be the main guy scoring 30 points a night and get us within range. You're not even close to the play-in. And what does that tell you about? That puts pressure not only on Maxey, that puts pressure on the GM, Elton Brand, and Daryl Morley, and Nick Nurse as well. The pressure mounts up when they don't get results. The Eagles just won a championship. The motivation should have been, okay, let's do what the Eagles did. They're celebrating championship. We're not. We're worried about what we're trying to think if Joel's going to play tonight, if Paul George is going to play tonight. All these injuries are made up. So if Paul George plays last night, I expect you to play all season long. If your team's not in it, they play. I don't care. Joel, you got to make a decision. Are you going to retire? Or are you going to get surgery for the last time? If it doesn't work for the last time, call it a career, man. Stop wasting a roster spot for somebody else. Or somebody else could have had your payday. Stop it. Move on. And I expect the Sixers to move on as well. But the main message here for the Sixers at 20-37 is you guys are done. You're cooked. Start chanting rebuild, because that's what's going to happen. The rebuild is going to happen. Now, that's my show for today. Now next week, let's do some women's basketball, okay? Let's preview let's recap the games from this week. And then let me give you a preview of the SEC and the Big 12 tournament on the women's side. So I'll give you those previews next week, but also let's take a look at Dallas and Washington. This is the WNBA and Dallas Wings and the Washington Mystics. Let's recap their off seasons. I told y'all a couple weeks ago that I pinned Dallas between now and 2030 as the WNBA champs. Let's see what they can do. Let's see what impact does the number one pick have? Let's see if the Mystics are going to make a change. Let's preview the tournaments next week. Let's recap the college basketball as well. All right, guys, thank you for listening and watching my podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast wherever you go, where you get your podcast at, and I will see y'all later. It's Beyond the Game on Fishbowl Radio.
Hey world, this is Jamie, host of the Jamie and Genty Show, broadcasting live each week on Tuesday at 12 p.m. from Fishbowl Studios. Log on to hear sports talk from basketball to football and view your feedback on the biggest sports news you want to talk about from around the world. So be sure to log on each week Tuesdays at 12 p.m. to catch the Jamie and Genty Show. Hope to see you soon
on Fishbowl Radio Network.
Jump in.